$5 from Bryce Barnett. Aron, you said there's no possibility of God because we can't confirm it's possible. Are you saying no possibility doesn't mean impossible? Is this equivocation? No. In order to say whether a possibility exists, you have to have a precedent or a parallel or a verified phenomenon to indicate that. Okay? And if we don't have that, then our list of possibilities rises from 0 to still nothing. You have to be able to show that there's a possibility. If you don't, you can't just say anything is possible, because that means that it's possible that monkeys might fly out of my ass. There he is.
Hello.
Hello. We will go live in 7 minutes.
Awesome. I just saw that. I shit myself a little bit. I didn't know this was going to be live, but that's fine with me.
You asked for it to be live.
I didn't, but I'm fine with it. Okay. I'm so happy.
All right. That's okay. Good. I really did think that you asked for it live. If it wasn't you, then it was somebody else.
That's okay. We talked once before.
Hold on. I gotta fill up everything and get ready.
Hey, that's okay.
Okay.
All right, you're back.
Say what you were going to say that we're not going to do on the show.
Okay, yeah.
Don't say anything you mean to say on the show. Let's keep it fresh.
Yeah. So I want to make sure that before we go into this, I want to apologize for maybe there was a miscommunication, but I want to make sure you understand the conversation that we're having.
You hear this?
Yeah. I know. It's
Hold
okay.
on. I wish I could dog-proof my studio, but then if I could do that, I'd be working in here all the time, and my dogs would never see me.
Well, if you did, it wouldn't be an Aron Raw video now, would it?
Yeah.
Okay, really quick. I want to make sure I'm very clear. I'm not arguing for the possibility of God. I am arguing against your phrase whenever somebody says...
Okay, you're gonna need to say that at the beginning of the show.
Okay, very well.
Because, yeah, that is totally the way that I went. So,
great. Okay. Then we'll leave it for that then.
Lighting's all wrong. Why can I not get this right?
Did you have McDonald's today?
I'm sorry, what?
Did you have McDonald's today? Because I did.
No. I never had McDonald's.
You had McDonald's last time. You ate chicken nuggets with me, and you didn't want to broadcast because you ate chicken nuggets. This was like 2 years ago. We were talking about science communication. That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I have no idea.
It's totally okay. I figured.
Okay, so... Well, look at that. We only got 10 people. Isn't that sad?
Hey, it'll be fun.
Yeah, well, maybe once we get started, then there'll be more.
Yeah, with a title like that, I am sure. How is my volume? I'm in a public library, so I have to be quiet. Yeah.
Oh, you have got to say that during the show.
Oh, I will.
Okay, because that's funny. Hello, puppies and kittens. I recently got an email from someone telling me, in all caps, I can logically prove you're wrong about the possibility of God. And, that was Bryce Barnett. And Bryce, what did you want to tell me to clarify the point that you were going to make?
Yeah. So, there's a phrase that you say often whenever somebody says like, "Oh, well, everything's possible," and it's like, well, except for everything that is impossible. And you would say, in order to say that something is possible, you need like, I'm paraphrasing, like objectively verified phenomenon indicating that such a possibility exists, and
a precedent or parallel or verified phenomenon.
Yeah, and without that, there is no possibility, and so you can say that there's
0 possibilities.
Right, and so you could you would then say, therefore, there's no possibility for God, right? So, that phrase, I would say all the time. I said it for years, and someone recently just a few months ago, used logical steps to show me that is invalid. It's fallacious.
Okay.
And yeah.
So they went from 0 possibility to 1 or more possibilities in these logical steps?
No.
Okay, so after the logical steps, we're still at 0 possibilities?
Yeah.
So there's still no possibility.
We can't say that. I'm saying that
Wait.
you saying that is
Okay,
incorrect.
So we can make up numbers for things we don't know the numbers for? We can say that things exist when we don't have any evidence that they exist?
May I assure you how I discovered that this is fallacious reasoning?
Please.
Great. So I said essentially exactly what you said on Facebook, that there's no possibility of a God, and people are like, you can't say that because anything's possible. And I'm like, no, you need to present that a possibility exists. And somebody said, well, what about things that you don't know that are possible? Like, okay, well,
then you can't. If you don't know about them, you can't say they're there. You can't claim them.
Exactly, and that's what I said. And they're like, okay, well, if you have evidence to indicate that a possibility exists, you could say something's possible, right? If you don't have evidence for something, you could say it's not possible. This is my response to them, actually. And if you have evidence against something, you could say it's impossible.
Well, that's not what we're arguing. We're arguing the number of possibilities that are currently known.
This is why I wanted to clarify. This is what I'm arguing, that the statement that you say over and over again, I've learned, is fallacious.
Okay. And the way you're going to reason me out of that is by changing it from a list of less than 1 possibilities to discussing what is impossible. So we're going to shift the burden of proof. Okay.
So
I'm not saying that if we don't have a possibility, we can't show that the possibility exists. Then we cannot honestly say that there is a possibility. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it is impossible. That's like when you don't believe something to be true, it doesn't necessarily mean that you believe it to be false.
Right.
Okay.
And I agree with all that. And this is when I was asked, I'm paraphrasing what I was asked, but I was essentially asked, can you prove that the phrase not possible and impossible are 2 different things, meaning 2 different things? And I could not find evidence to back that up. So I had to concede that those are the same thing.
So we have a list of 0 possibilities. Mm-hmm. And having no possibility is being retranslated into an impossibility.
Can you define? Can you prove that the phrase "not possible" and "impossible" are different definitions?
Yeah, we don't have a possibility to discuss. That doesn't mean that it is impossible. It's just not possible in the sense that there is no possibility. So we could say that, you know, in a deeper conversation, we can find things that would, the aspects of the specific thing that would be impossible. And God is defined as being impossible. I mean, God is defined as by his miraculous nature, and miracles are impossible by definition. Mm-hmm. They are things that defy the laws of physics, which means they would be physically impossible, and God would be thus impossible by extension or definition. Yeah. But that's not what we're saying here. We're talking about whether a possibility exists. Now, people, and this is contrasted not with saying that it is impossible, but is contrasted with the people who say that anything is possible, meaning that monkeys might fly out of my ass, right? Or that the cow could jump over the moon, what have you, or that a man could walk on water. There's a number of things that we know to be impossible.
You're preaching to the choir here. Okay, like I literally agree with you up until
I'm just clarifying a point.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Can you share your screen and like Google it for me, because I Googled as much as I could definitions between not possible and impossible, and I could not find anything other than they are true similes. They are the same thing. And I eventually had to concede that there's that saying something is not possible is the same thing as saying something that is impossible, and that we are committing the fallacy of equivocation.
So when we say that there is no evidence of a thing,
That's
that
fine.
that
No,
by
that's fine.
by the same logic means that there is evidence of no thing.
That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. The equivocation
Not
happens.
having evidence of a thing does not necessarily prove that there is no thing. By that
Right.
logic, if we say that there's no evidence of God, that proves there is no God. No, nobody's going to side up with that.
So when it comes to evidence, there's three things that we could say. We could say that there is evidence for, there's no evidence, and there's evidence against, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we say something is possible, you could say there's evidence for that. When we have evidence against, we could say it's impossible.
Okay.
But there is not a valid word of with using possibility to describe the second option. So the equivocation that was happening is the second option and the third one together. And so I was
Well, if
corrected.
there is no possibility, that just means that we don't even have anything to talk about yet.
Yes, the correct thing to say is that we have found no possibility. That is the correct thing to say. But you said that there is no possibility, and that's the equivocation.
Right. Without a precedent or parallel or verified phenomenon indicating that such possibility exists, we can't say that any possibility exists. There is no possibility to consider. We have a list of zero possibilities.
Aron, the sentence after that, where you said there's no possibilities to exist to consider, that one is equivocated. The thing you said before is correct.
The person trying to use this argument, you mean?
The
person who does not
conceded to this argument
cannot, and knows they cannot produce a possibility to consider now has to equivocate to turn no possibilities, a list of zero possibilities, into a statement of impossibility. Whereas, and this is what I see all the time, when you don't believe in God, it means that you believe in no God. It means that you have to have a positive belief in no Godism. Much like materialism or naturalism is where we, from my perspective, that's where I don't assume magic, and where they want to change the burden of proof and switch it over to where I have a positive belief that no magic exists, because everything has to be reframed so that they can get out of the hole they would be in otherwise.
Gotcha. I'll concede the phrase that no possibility to consider is correct, but you cannot say that there's just no possibility. The consider part is important.
You can't claim a possibility.
Yes,
we're still at a list of zero. I'm open to the list becoming larger by one.
Oh, so for sure.
The logical argument then would be that you should show a possibility, and then we would have a list of one.
I would love for you to prove me wrong that not possible and impossible are not similes, because I cannot find any evidence showing otherwise. Can you share your screen in like Google? Because I would love to see it.
You want
or maybe there's a scientific
Google, not
whatever
possible versus impossible.
Sure. Because
no, first I'm going to check chat here.
Sure, go ahead.
All right, because I haven't been following, and we did pick up some viewers. Let me see if I can scan this real quick. There's a lot here all at once.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's
we picked up a couple hundred people in the last few minutes that we've been talking. So I'm not going to be able to scan through all the chats here.
So, Aron, I want to be clear. The thing I had to concede to this person was that not possible and impossible are not two separate things the way that you and I have been describing it. And I had to concede that they are the same thing.
Sachs says, I think the miscommunication here seems to be in between no possibility being a lack of noun and not possible being an adjective. That's part of it. I don't know how I would Google not possible versus impossible.
The definition. Just Google the definition.
Up words now.
Yeah, this is the accusation is equivocation.
Okay. So impossible means not able to occur, exist, or be done. Okay. And now let's do not possible. How do you do not possible as a definition?
I believe what I Googled was, is not possible and impossible true synonyms? Is there any difference? And I could not find a single difference.
Okay. So it says not possible means something is unable to occur or be achieved. Okay. In either way, there
But we
is no
don't know that.
possibility.
But that's a positive indication saying that something cannot happen.
Right. We need a way for it to happen
Right.
before we have something to discuss.
Yes, I would agree that is
Okay.
the phrase for the term possible, but there is no word regarding possible that shows one way or the other. It's like
Wait, what do you mean?
says. I'll give an example.
Okay, so we have the word impossible, which negates the event, and then we have the not possible, which meaning that we have no possibility. So we have a lack of something to indicate the event. So I'm not
you
trying
haven't
to
substantiated those are different things.
but we don't have anything to indicate the event.
Yes, you haven't substantiated the impossible and not possible are two different things. I will concede as soon as you do that.
Impossible would negate the event.
Yeah.
Okay. And not possible means we have nothing to indicate the event.
That's not what you read. That's not what the definition said.
Okay.
Read it again.
I understand the definition says something is unable to occur or be achieved because there is no possibility.
Is that what it says? Can you share your screen?
That is what I read, yes. Not possible means something is unable to occur or be achieved.
You just Googled this?
Yes.
Okay.
So in order to consider that something could have happened, we now need to hear a possibility for it. Right? Or we're at a non-start point.
Now that does not mean what you're looking at.
That does not mean that there is no possibility we don't yet know, because I'm very keen on not claiming knowledge we don't have.
Right.
That's why I say the truth is what the facts are. There are many things that I've had to explain this in a number of debates. There are many things that may be true that are as yet unknown, but we cannot say that we know that they are true, because that becomes a lie. That becomes pretending to know things we don't know, which is what faith is all about.
I would love to see what you're seeing, because I could Google it myself, but I'm not sure.
What are you talking about?
The definition of not possible.
How many times do I really need to share the screen because you don't believe me when I just read it?
I want to make sure what it
says.
No,
I'm reading AI. I don't like that they put AI and replaced Wikipedia with that.
Same. Yeah.
Because there's differences, English language usage and stack exchange between not possible and impossible. When we say it's not fair or unfair, there's a whole article explaining the differences there.
Are you not able to share your screen?
Yes, I am able to share my screen.
Okay.
I'm just trying not to bore the audience.
Oh,
that's why I was reading it to you.
Gotcha. I'm a visual person, and
okay,
this is a again, the accusation that was made to me, which I was quoting you, was a fallacy of equivocation. So the words do matter.
Equivocation would be where you're using two different definitions in different contexts that would have different definitions in those different contexts, but that you're mixing them together for deceptive effect. It's like when you say that you have faith in your wife, but you have no faith in God. You're using two different contexts of the word faith, and they both have different definitions.
Okay. Then if I'm not using the correct fallacy name for essentially mixing up definitions for the same word.
Well, whatever mixing up different definitions for the same word would be equivocation, but that's not what we're doing here.
Okay. I would love to see it. I would love to walk away from this wrong, because I loved saying there's
the article I'm reading on english.stackexchange.com says, and all I did was Google what was it that I go? Well, never mind. I don't think I can find it easily enough. I'm not sure whether to say both of these sentences have the same meaning or not. It was some superficially there's no difference between them. But if we say something is not possible or something is impossible, then there is really an observable difference in my first language. Okay, well, I don't know what they're talking about their first language. Hence the question, is there a difference between the preceding two sentences in English? So I don't think there's a difference because the context we're using, because I'm not trying to negate the event. I'm talking about there's something that there's not something to indicate the event.
Yes. So
to me, the only difference in style, one word unfair versus two words not fair, the same for impossible and not possible, both mean cannot be done for some reason or another. In response, we would never say it's not possible. I don't want to read a whole fucking article, but I mean, people can find it. But you understand the context that I'm using.
I totally understand the context you're using. I've argued exactly what you're arguing before for years.
Okay.
And I just had to concede that because impossible and not possible are literally the same thing.
Okay, let's say that they are.
Yeah.
Do we have a list of impossibilities?
Do we? Oh, yeah.
We do?
I mean,
well, I guess on the God,
like a deistic God, something
do.
that's unfalsifiable, no, of course not.
On the
But
God
for
question,
every
we actually
other,
do have a list of impossibilities, and that's a separate list from the list of possibilities. The list of possibilities, we have 0. But the list of impossibilities, we now have a list of all these different things. You know, that you can't have a mind, which by definition is a product of a brain, which can't be in you can't have a disembodied mind by definition. Again, it can't be the miraculous nature. It can't exist outside this universe, but also affect, material causes within this universe, all of that. So there's a number of impossibilities, and these are distinct from the possibilities, which we still don't have. We have quite a list of impossibilities, so these are different.
For sure. We know Christianity is impossible, Mormonism is impossible.
Okay.
Yeah, basically, if not,
you understand there's a difference in context between we can build a list of impossibilities and we can build a list of possibilities, and they will be different.
Yeah, there's 0. We know of no possibilities for any God. Yeah, no problem with saying that. The clarification is known. The difference between that was made clear to me between evidence and possible is that evidence has inside of it the understanding that it's something that is known for the same reason. Excuse me?
Evidence has inside of it something that is known. The something that is known is a fact.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas a fact is a point of data that is either not in dispute, meaning we both take it to be true, or it is indisputable in that it is objectively verifiable. It is a thing we can demonstrate. We can verify that this is in fact a fact.
Yeah. Okay. With possibility, we don't have that for the same reason that we can't say that we could say, yes, the opposite of truth is untruth. But what about the things that we don't know are true, or we don't know that are not true? There's no truth word in there, and the same thing goes for possibility. So there's not a accurate word that we could say with possibility unless we're adding there's no known possibility of God. That would be the correct statement.
Yeah. So if the list is still 0, then we have nothing to consider.
Yeah, and that's it. It's a small technicality.
I'm missing something, or one of us.
Sure, we went from saying there's no possibility of God, which is untrue, because
how many possibilities are there then?
Because saying not possible is the same thing as saying impossible.
Except that it's not, because we have two different lists.
Prove it. I would.
We have a list of it. We have a list of possibilities, which are the things that indicate the thing might happen. And then we have the list of impossibilities, which negate the thing ever happening. Two different lists, two different usages of the word. When we're talking about whether there's a possibility of God, if you have one, then I'd be happy to add it to the list, which is currently at 0, and we can take 0 up to 1.
Yeah.
But if you don't have that, then we still have no possibility. Having no possibility is not the same thing as having an impossibility. If we talk about God, yeah,
Right.
we can pull up all kinds of impossibilities and they could be an additional list. But there's a number of other things that we could look at that may not have impossibilities attached to them. There's no possibility for it, but not necessarily an impossibility against it.
The way that you are using no possibility in this definition, I agree with. But the
Okay.
accusation is that you and I were equivocating no possibility to mean something
Well,
other than
disproof.
impossible.
We are not equivocating.
So you prove that no possibility means impossible.
No. I said if we have a list of possibilities, this a possibility now indicates that something could exist. The impossibility negates that anything could, that thing could exist.
Mm-hmm.
Having no indication that the thing could happen is not the same thing as negating that the thing could happen. Not necessarily.
Okay, I got it.
It's the same subtlety as saying I don't believe you means that I believe you to be false. I've had this argument with philosophers before who have insisted that if I don't believe someone is telling the truth, that necessarily means that I think that they are telling a lie. That's not true. If somebody tells me something and I don't believe them, somebody tells me that I've won $1 million. I get a phone call. Somebody tells me I've won $1 million. I want to believe that. I really do. But I'm wise enough to know better. I've seen too many scams. So while I want that to be true, and I want to do what I can to verify whether that is true, I'm not ready to give out my credit card information or my bank account information or my social security number, just hoping that that's going to be true. And so I'm just going to buy into that way. I've seen other people do that. I've seen other people taken for scams that way. Now I'm still going to hold that there's a possibility that could be true. People have won that amount of money. There's the precedent. There's the parallel. There's a bunch of different contests that do that. There's the verified phenomenon. We see people win lotteries and such every day. And other people gain huge inheritances and stuff like that they didn't expect. So all of that is there. There's a possibility that could happen. That doesn't mean I believe it, and not believing it doesn't mean that I believe that the person is lying. I haven't made up my mind about that.
If before we understood what quantum mechanics were, we couldn't say it was not possible because we had no evidence to support it before we had evidence.
Well, if you don't have a theory, then there's no way to test the theory until you would have to have some kind of parameters, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about an unfalsifiable God, which I understand is completely meaningless.
Right.
Yeah. I get the way that you're using the phrase impossibility. That being said,
have you ever had the argument where somebody tells you that if you don't believe what someone says, it means that you believe that they're lying?
Yes.
Yeah. And that not having a belief in God means that you actively have a positive belief that there is no God? Have you gotten that one?
I'm sorry, I was distracted. Say that one more time.
One that I have often heard. I mean, even before I was an atheist myself, back when I was a Christian, in fact, I was told that if you don't believe in God, it means that you actively believe there is no God. That it is a positive belief in no Godism.
Mm-hmm.
And that materialism somehow bears the burden of proof to prove that there is no magic. Rather than, the superstition having to prove that there is magic. It's all of this is reversing the burden of proof, that because the guy cannot come up with a reason to believe in the God, he cannot come up with the possibility, so he's going to accuse you of equivocation and he's going to try to play these word games.
I could not substantiate the difference between impossible and no possibility, because I believe that no possibility is a truth claim.
Okay. I'm not saying that having no possibility is an impossibility.
Right. And with that definition,
possibilities would indicate that something could happen.
Aaron, with your definition, it's sound.
The thing could happen. An impossibility is a negation of the thing happening. This will be the last time I explain this.
I agree. Okay? I agree.
Okay. Very good. Now we know that there is definitely a difference between possible and impossible.
Yeah.
So if we have no
I was never
indication
saying
that the
that.
thing
You
could
mean no
happen,
possibility and
if we have no
impossible.
indication that the thing could happen, then why are we even talking about it? But having no indication that it could happen is not a negation that the thing could ever happen. Got it?
Not possible is still a truth claim.
No possibility does
Yeah.
not mean not possible. Though you could take it that way.
Oh,
I
really?
understand if you do, but we're still
Okay.
talking about a list of possibilities that has not exceeded 0.
I get the difference now.
Okay.
So,
All right.
no possibility means something different than
Possibility
not possible.
indicates that something could happen. Impossibility negates that it could happen.
Very well.
Okay. All right. I'm going to close this out. I don't see a need to continue on, but
Yeah.
I do have a couple hundred people that signed up for 400 people watching now. So that was unexpected.
Thank you for
Anyway,
that. I will
thank you
concede.
very much for that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Good night.
Night.
400 people?
Is that bad?
There were 10 before we hit this thing live.
Oof.
Okay.
Well, I want to thank you, Aron, because I did not make that connection. That possibility is not the same thing as something being possible.
I just get sick of the argument where the believer always needs to shift the burden of proof onto me every time, by whatever means possible. You know, when somebody told me the other day that having no reason to believe something means you don't have a reason not to believe it.
Oh, no, yeah, I saw that. I was watching you on the line. That's
How do you make that stretch?
when Professor Dave was on the line.
Helpful.
Yes.
I hope that was helpful. I don't feel good about it.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
No, well, no. This was important. I genuinely thought that that I had something to stand on here, and that I was going to prove you wrong, because I proved Professor Dave wrong on the line not too long ago, and he admitted it.
Did you?
Yeah. Because he said something
On what?
objectively wrong. He said in one of his own videos, and I think in an interview on a different channel, or it might be the same channel, I forget. But Professor Dave said that in response to young Earth creationists, that humans are not monkeys. And I'm like, the fuck are you saying? He said it once. I'm like, maybe that was a mistake. And then he said it twice. And I'm like, okay, now you're really saying this. So I super chatted him on the
I got into
line.
it with Lawrence Krauss on exactly that point.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
He's an astrophysicist.
Oh, okay.
He wrote a book called A Universe from Nothing.
Oh,
And the
okay.
first time
No,
I
I got
got
it. Yeah.
to talk to him, I said, just because you titled a book A Universe from Nothing, that pisses me off so much. Let me hit you back with something else. We did come from monkeys.
Yeah. For real.
Because I had seen him make the argument that we did not.
Yeah, it was a time where you and Professor Dave were supposed to be on the line together, but then somehow you didn't make it. So I was expecting.
Can I tell you the backstory? I'm just.
I would love to.
About that.
Yeah, I'd love to hear. I'm like, why isn't he here?
My wife often changes my schedule without consulting me. You know, and then I very often will just forget, because now I have this thing I have to do, and then one thing leads to another and another and another, and they're all on the other side of town. And then so I'm dealing with things in the here and now, and so it suddenly comes that I have a show to do tonight, and that's when I check the time, and I'm like, holy fuck, I'm an hour away from the house at best.
Oof.
And I'm stuck here for another 45 minutes before I can even leave, and that was terribly unprofessional of me, and I shouldn't have let myself get in that position. But if I hadn't done it, she would have just walked into a position that she couldn't have handled on her own.
Yeah. I was expecting you and Professor Dave to go at it, because I was going to super chat, hey, Aron, why does Professor Dave think that we're not monkeys? And I wanted you to be like, what the fuck, Dave? So instead,
good. You know what? I tell you what I did do.
Okay.
But I think it was you that said that you haven't seen something where I admitted that I was wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I made a couple of mathematic errors because I'm just not mathematically adept.
Mm-hmm.
I had heard the thing that said that young Earth creationism is off by so much that it would be equivalent to saying that the distance between Los Angeles and New York is 17 feet. I tried to do the math on that myself, fucked it up badly, and reported what I had found on as if it was real. I should have gotten somebody who knows how to count on their fingers.
Oh my gosh.
I should have got
By the
somebody
way,
else to
I
figure that out.
I mentioned this in the email, but I want to thank you for inspiring me to make a science communication channel, because I did. And one of the first things I did was debunk a video that was sent to me saying that that the Bible proves science, or vice versa, or some shit. And one of the things that this preacher said was that DNA is so complex and long that if you stretched it out, it would reach to Pluto and back. And I'm like, I don't know how long DNA is, but I'm pretty sure it's not the diameter of the solar system.
It was often said that I have seen this where they said that if you stretched it out, that it could reach to the moon, and that was not right either.
And so I'm sure he's heard that, and he just like, fuck it, let's make it Pluto. Because the lying is fine as long as it's lying for Jesus. Anyways, I want to say, so I super chat Professor Dave on the line, and I'm like, Aron, Forrest, and Erica all say you're wrong. Concede that humans are apes, or humans are monkeys. And then Professor Dave is like, okay, fine, we're technically monkeys. Are you happy? I'm like, yeah.
You're technically right, which is the best kind of right.
Yeah, technically correct is the best kind of correct. What do you think of the phrase factual information as practical application? Because it rhymes better than the other one. You said practical?
Say it again.
No. Factual information has practical application.
Factual instead of accurate.
Yeah, because it rhymes. That's the only reason.
Okay. And that's important.
It is.
All right, I need to jump back to the script that I'm way behind on. Should have come out last week. All my phylogeny scripts take a buck ton, and it's largely because I have so many distractions: dogs, snakes, errands, chores, things I have to do out of town, whatever. I can hardly get to work, but I'm going to try to dive into it. I have been making some progress.
Love it.
I'm going to try to have this thing recorded by tomorrow.
I appreciate it. I'm sorry that you thought that this was a worthy conversation to have live, but I'm very happy to chat with you all the time, anyways. So
just imagine if you put up a mathematic error, and made a public announcement about it in a video, and
nah. But thank you so much. I will happily go back to saying that there's no possibility of God, because there's no possibility, but we cannot say that there's no possible God, right? Or that would conflict with deistic God.
I don't think. Yeah, I can't. I wouldn't say that. No. And that began to confuse me.
Well, that's.
Anyway.
I mean, that's the thing with equivocation, is like we are confused about the definitions and the precise words that we're using, and so I conceded. You won again. I'm just curious if there's any video out there of you conceding to anything, because the closest thing I found was like you were in a debate with someone that was another atheist about whether like religion was particularly good for society, and you were like, of course not, and the other person's like, here's all this evidence supporting sometimes, and the closest thing that you came to conceding is, I will concede that some people are happier believing it. That was the closest thing.
I made an errata video where I went through a list of things that were in my foundational falsehoods of creationism video series.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them are trivial, but one or two of them were significant. I named the wrong study, or I cited the wrong study at one point. So that was a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, yeah. Thank you for.
But yeah, it's somewhere in my channel is errata. I can't remember how I phrased it. Just ERRATA, I think.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to get back to work. Thank you much.
Sounds good. Thank you. I hope you're okay with me posting this as well.
Absolutely.
Okay. Awesome.
Quite all right.
All right. I'll see you. Bye bye.